Trump's MO seems to be, from what I can tell, is he is softening the country up for slaughter. That's what it feels like to me. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
When I was thinking about the stuff we were going to talk about this week, I keep like a bullet journal as like a, my daily, task manager, stuff like that. And it blew my mind that it's literally only been a week.
Just one.
Since this has happened, because so many things have been done or talked about being done, and they're all dumb. And I feel like the next several weeks of this fucking podcast are just gonna be us talking about just a laundry list of really dumb things, that have happened in this country, and we've got several to talk about today. Again,
look. The only thing, everything you said, I agree with, except for the point of like for the next few weeks. I think the word you're looking for is years. I think that's. I think you're.
I mean, they can't. Like again, he's a 78-year-old unhealthy piece of shit. He can't possibly go at this pace. Like he had to hit the golf course today, because he was so beleaguered from having to sign executive orders and just be generally racist and transphobic and homophobic and all this other stuff, because apparently getting rid of DEI in the federal government just means ripping up orders from the 1960s.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, in reading all these things, I wish he would DIE, but that's just me. Okay, like it's just me, and I know that might hurt people's feelings, and to that I say, I don't care.
I literally had. This is how fucking pilled my brain is that I had during my day job, one of our clients asked if we used EDI, and I thought that they misconstrued DEI, and I was like, oh my god, we can't be having this fucking conversation right now. Turns out EDI is actually like a thing. It's just literally like an electronic data exchange protocol that's used. But I'm just oh my god.
Okay.
Calm down.
Brad, why are you so red and seething? No reason. I love computers. They're awesome. Anyway. I didn't misconstrue anything you said. I'm a professional. So yeah, there is a lot to talk about, obviously, and pain is on the menu. But before we get there, and look, we're just going to kind of pepper in some things that are also going on that are not on the docket as they kind of pop into our heads because there's so much. Mm-hmm. Before we get into it, I do want to just say this to people listening and watching. The amount of information and the amount of things that are happening, and it feels like it's running at a fucking clip and it's too much. That's the point. Okay. Mm-hmm. They do this so that this is how you break a system, right? You just overwhelm it. This is what a denial of service attack is, right? In hacking, you just fucking throw as much shit at the system until the system goes, fine, just let them in. Who cares? They'll just shut down. I don't give a shit, right?
Or no, not even let them in. Just like the lanes are too clogged. It's like a fucking like a traffic jam in a tunnel on the highway.
And so the system just shuts down, and that's what this is. It is completely designed to, as Steve Bannon most famously said, flood the zone with shit. And when you do this, especially in the beginning, people get so angry that they turn the fuck off. That's the point. And then when you turn off,
there's so much stuff that it's I think I even said it last week. It's like trying to fucking play whack-a-mole, and you don't get a perfect score playing whack-a-mole because there's too many fucking moles popping up, and you only have fucking one mallet that you can use to tamp the things down. So a lot of shit will slide by that maybe wouldn't if there wasn't so much out there.
Exactly. By the way, Democrats, use this method for good. Okay, like this is what you do.
Yeah.
Like you get in, don't be like, we did one thing today, we're gonna do one big thing tomorrow. No, fuck that. Do 10 things. Just keep
also if I can
hashing at the system.
If I can recommend, maybe while all this shit is going on, maybe while ICE raids are literally happening in like Chicago and other cities and stuff like that. Maybe while this is happening, maybe the Democratic leader in the House shouldn't put out a tweet that says presidents come and go, but God is always on the throne. Maybe don't do that. Maybe just shut the fuck up. Yes. Ugh. Maybe just shut the fuck up and put your fighting shoes on.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, none of us want to fucking hear that shit right now. Not while this shit is happening. Not while people are literally dealing with pain. Not while people are seeing loved ones ripped from them. Not while there's a fucking bird flu epidemic that's getting ready to bust out, and there's apparently the biggest tuberculosis outbreak in the history of the United States happening in Kansas, because of course it's a fucking red state that shit's happening in, while we're about to put a fucking science denialist anti-vaxxer in charge of health and human services. Like maybe just don't say that. Maybe just either have a tweet that's gonna show us that you're fighting, or just fucking say nothing at all. Shutting the fuck up is free, which is the motto of this network quite often.
Absolutely. We can't do it, but everyone else can. I'm not. So, all right. I am going to pose a question to you, Brad. I have my answer for what I think, for how I see it. So I'm interested in yours. And I've been thinking a lot about this over the last couple of weeks. What is of all of the stories that we know of, obviously there could be something, but of all the stories that we know of as of 1 week into this hellhole, what is the story that you're tracking the most for you personally that you think is going to potentially have the biggest outcome? What is it? What's the story for you to focus on? Yeah, it's hard.
I don't know, man, because it's honestly like it's a whole bunch of little like not little things but when you bundle them all together, like it's not necessarily like one story that I'm just like, oh my god, like this is it. Like it's death by 1,000 cuts. Like it's the totality of everything. I mean, I guess the biggest thing that I will be keeping an eye on is how his crew of fuckwits are kind of reshaping the federal government. I mean, we'll talk about the IG purge later on. The people that obviously are coming in being a problem. Trump is threatening IRS agents and shit like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on the federal government level. Basically the repeal of, or not the repeal, but the rescinding of the EEOC guidelines for the federal government that again have been literally in place for 60 years. Yep. That are just well, who needs the Civil Rights Act anymore? We don't need to worry about that. And also just to kind of keep an eye on what happens with the whole the 14th Amendment challenge, because of course they wrote their stupid executive order that basically cancels out birthright citizenship going forward. And obviously it got appealed immediately, and it got in front of a district court judge who basically laughed the argument out of the courtroom to like from the federal government side of things, like literally let them argue for 25 minutes and said, basically gave him the equivalent of the Billy Madison, speech, like I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul. Because like their argument on its face is just so obviously,
it doesn't make sense.
Incorrect. Like to the point where the judge was like to the lawyers, like, this is bullshit. Why are you in court arguing for this?
Right.
Like there does come a time where like you can say no to a client. You know what I mean? Like when you know that they're wrong in the law. So obviously you don't have to make the argument.
No, you don't, but
you don't have to do it.
They do anyway.
Yeah.
So for me, and this is going to seem like a silly one, and I'll explain why. My canary in the coal mine is Greenland. That's because it seems ridiculous. It's an expansion of the empire. It is obviously a sovereign nation. Like there's not an argument about it.
Think about that, by the way. When is the last, I mean, since like what, World War II? We really talked about like imperialism.
Yeah,
in the world.
In the world, right. I mean, what Russia's doing now is as close to that. I mean, that is what that is, right? So, like, outside of what Russia's trying to do right now, which is failing, we'll talk more about that actually later on. Yeah, there hasn't been since World War II, and the idea of the expansion into Greenland. I mean, I think all his talk about Canada is just to fucking rile people up. Like, I don't think that means fucking anything, right? I really don't. His comments about like going after the cartels in Mexico, I think that's very real. I'll talk more about that when we get down to this whole thing with Colombia, which Brad obviously spelled incorrectly. Pfft, idiot. So.
Sorry, I'm not on the White House drafting team, so
yeah, because your brain works. That's why you're not working for them. But Greenland is the canary in the coal mine for me because it makes the country go one of two ways. We're either headed towards quite literally potentially a world war or civil war. That's it. Like there are really no two options other than that, and I'll explain. If the United States says, hey, we're going into Greenland, and not the United States, if Trump says, hey, we're going into Greenland, we're fucking taking it by force, which has basically been his argument, right? He sends his fucking coked out son over to Denmark, and he's like, hey, can we have it? And they're like, no, what the who are you? Get out of here. Are you high right now? Get the fuck out of here. And he was like, yes, of course I'm high. And they were like, fucking beat it. They actually didn't even take a meeting with him. They just told him to fucking beat it, right? Trump has been repeatedly said to have, or reportedly said to have said that everything is for sale, which is the most like douchebag 80s movie villain type of behaviors I've ever heard.
You know what though? He is correct. I'm sure there is a price that you could name to Denmark to be like, hey, we're going to buy Greenland. And they'd be like, yeah, cool. I don't think it's a price that
we're not paying that.
Yeah.
$10 trillion. No.
Right.
What the fuck? Get out of here. Right. So either it goes, I mean, I guess the third option is that they sell it for some astronomical amount of money, which by the way, on its face is fucking moronic. Why would we do that? It's even if you're talking about, but all the precious metals and everything else, it would destroy the U.S. economy. Okay. Like we don't have that. We don't have that in cash to be like, here you go. Fucking don't worry about it. Like that's not how it works. So barring all of that, right? There are really only two options. We go into Greenland with the U.S. military, and we take it over. Cool. NATO is not going to let that stand. They can't. Because if NATO lets it stand, then any other country that's not in NATO can start to attack and take on other NATO countries, and it starts to become a sliding scale of destruction around the world. So NATO has to respond, right? They just do. Like, quite legally, they have to respond, but just from a moral perspective, for their own future safety, they have to respond.
Yeah, if you're not going to step to it, then you might as well just fucking disband it, which I'm sure, Trump and his people would love if that were to happen.
Right.
Anyway,
so NATO responds because they have to. That starts off the United States fighting all of NATO. That means that we are fighting Mexico. That means that we are fighting Canada. That means we're fighting all of the European countries. We're fighting, we have now set off a massive world war over Greenland for fucking precious metal resources for a bunch of billionaires that sat at your inauguration. Because that's quite literally the reason why Greenland's being talked about. There is there's a strategic reason. It's because of that. That's what it is.
It's not really habitable. Right. It's literally just a resource play.
But by the way, just as a nerd aside, maybe look at what happened with DeepSeek this week. Maybe the precious metals not as important as we thought it was. Just saying. You don't know what that is.
On our docket, but it probably should be. It's very funny to me though.
It's fucking hilarious. I'll give just a quick 10,000 mile view of this. So what happened is the China-backed company DeepSeek, They are an AI company, right? They came out with their new AI large language model AI called DeepSeek R3, I think it is, or V3, and it's to rival ChatGPT, basically, right? And it works.
And it's basically almost as good. Runs on an operating cost that's about 10% of what ChatGPT runs on, and is also like not open source, but it's open solution so that people can basically like not reverse engineer it, but it's as close to open source as it can be.
Right.
And Nvidia and all the AI companies are shitting bricks right now because the market cap of those companies that people thought like, oh, like these companies are gonna be huge in the development of AI is fucking sliding off of a cliff right now. Like there's literally speculation that over $1 trillion could be lost in market investments based on this.
Yeah. So
which couldn't happen to a nicer group of folks. In my eyes.
And by the way, shout out to DeepSeek. They dropped this right after fucking OpenAI is like, we're gonna spend $500 billion on this massive AI infrastructure. We're in the future, baby. And they're like, we did it for $9. Like, fuck. God damn it. So yeah, they did.
As I saw Blue Sky, I didn't see OpenAI getting Timu'd, but if that's what it takes, we're good to go.
So this whole idea, because NVIDIA uses these precious metals to make these really high-end chips that are really fucking impressive. But DeepSeek didn't use any NVIDIA shit, and they were able to basically make the same thing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So, needless to say, we shouldn't be going to war based on this idea of ripping these precious metals out of the ground and sparking off because it would spark off a world war, right? Like, this is very true. Which, by the way, as Europe, and even if it's not a world war, but as Europe and the United States and Canada and Mexico and parts of South America, they're all fighting. Who is sitting back watching these people destroy themselves? Russia and China. Now, Russia can go, great, that's awesome. We benefit from that, right? Because our biggest enemy is now not paying attention. So maybe we could push into Ukraine a little bit more. Maybe we push into Poland, right? Because you can't fight a two-front war. Just
Georgia,
you can start, you can start to push into Europe. You're literally fighting on both ends. Europe can't defend itself in a two-front war, right? That's the most basic history of any war history, right? So it can spark off a massive fucking situation, all for the resources that maybe we don't actually need, right? Or not need as much. That's one. The other side is this. People in the military, I'm not talking about your Pete Hegseth, we'll talk about him, right? But your high-end people in the military, your Joint Chiefs of Staff, your big boys, right? These are the guys who are like, fucking Constitution over everything. I believe in the paper, not the man type of shit, right? We're a country of laws, not men. These guys, the fucking AJ squared away guys. True believers. There's got to be a conversation happening right now between those guys to say, what the fuck are we doing? We're going to go to war potentially with these like you can act like
our closest and longest standing allies.
They're brothers in this shit, dude. Like, yeah, they might be Brits or they might be the French or the Spanish or whatever, but these guys have fucking bled next to each other, right? These are the people who sent fucking these people, like, as much as we shit on Mexico, these people are flying planes to help with wildfires in California. As much as you can shit on the French and whatever, those motherfuckers stood next to us when all the shit was going down after 9/11, right? These guys are in joint effort to protect Ukraine against Russia. These are our allies for fucking decades. Since World War II, our tightest fucking allies. You're going to go to war with them? You're going to kill these people that you're close to. These are people they talk to on a regular basis, I'm sure. You're going to go to war and you're going to kill these people over what? So you have to ask yourself, do you think that the military, I'm not talking about don't fucking mistake that with your grunts. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the high-end people who know what the fuck is going on a much higher level. Are those people willing to go, yeah, let's roll tanks and fucking start killing people that we care about, our friends and shit like that? Are they willing to do that? We're not fighting Greenland because of like there's some moral imperative. This is
well, it's not like Greenland attacked us. It's not like they're engaging in human atrocities or anything like that. No,
none of that.
They have treasure that we want. Stop me if this scenario sounds familiar.
Right. They've got something in the ground that we want. Like, all right, kill everyone. Wait, what? What is happening? Right. So therein lies, that's the rub. Do those guys go along and spark off a massive war across the world? Or do they say, no, we're not going to do that? And and you could say, oh, well, they could step down. But stepping down, as much as that sounds like a quote unquote solution or whatever, that's the same thing as going along with it, because they know that if they step down, they'll put someone else in that place to do the fucking dirty shit, right? So then what do you do morally? You're just like, well, I stepped down. Oh, they still killed all my friends? Great, cool. I really feel awesome about that, right? Like, you got to remember who these guys are. These are not, it's not a fucking video game for these guys. It's real life. So they say no. Then what happens? Because if they say no, that's not just saying no. That's a whole different fucking can of worms that we're saying no, you're trying to destroy this shit, and we need to stop you. That's what it comes down to. So it either sparks off, the military says no, and then they push back against Trump in a real fucking way, which will spark off shit in the United States. It just will. Or they go along and you spark shit off across the world. That's it. There are no other options, man. Again, there's the weird third option. Denmark is like, fine, right, we'll take 10 trillion.
And the thing that makes it frustrating, and again, like, we're going to focus most of the show on things that are actually happening, not just things that they're talking about. But the thing that makes it frustrating is that Trump just fucking talks out of his ass all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he just fucking says shit to either rile people up or to use it as like a negotiating ploy or shit like that, or just like rattle cages.
I hope that this is just some bullshit saber rattling. But if he's honest about this, if he's on it, and I think he kind of is, because he's a bitch for other billionaires. Like, he is.
I think he'd like to be, but even the dumbest people around him, I'd have to hope would be like, it's not a good idea for you to be pursuing this. Or maybe,
how many times have we said that shit? Right? Like,
or maybe when the Joint Chiefs are hanging out with new Secretary Pete. I don't like that.
No.
During happy hour, maybe they let slip and be like, your boss talking about this Greenland shit. Maybe he should knock that shit off.
Yeah, I feel like you don't tell that guy that, because I feel like I'm serious. I feel like that guy's just gonna be like, this guy needs to go. Like, they're going to be gunning for anybody who looks like they're going to say no. I'm telling you. I mean, I am not of the mindset that they won't try this. I'm not. But I do think that there is going to be a line. It's a red line, and it feels very fucking bright to me. What do you do when this guy goes, I'm giving the order for you to go in? I mean, how does that even work, right? Because in order to start a war, you have to get it declared through Congress. Not that he's going to give a fuck. Greenland has done nothing that.
Oh, yeah, trust me. We're going to talk about him violating federal law this week. I'm sure he does not give a shit, because laws, what are laws but just suggestions at this point,
right? Yeah. So, but that's mine. Is what happens. What happens?
Well, the good news is, like, if you want to do this, like, you can't just fucking snap your fingers and say, all right, let's go. Like, you have to plan an operation out and kind of shit. So, like, I would imagine things would have to come to a head well before the order is executed to be like,
I hope so.
Let's fucking go. We'll see.
I hope so.
We shall see.
Yeah, but that one, and I don't mean to scare people.
Tell you,
I don't mean to scare people, but it is a thing I've been thinking a lot about.
I mean, look, I get it, and again, like, the other side of that coin, and you and I talked about this today with Andy in our private chat. It's there's a non-0% chance that if he were to give that order, and the leaders in the military were just like, fuck this, we need to get this guy out of office. Like, this isn't a good idea.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's just take over the government to get him out, and then turn it back over to.
Yep.
To the sane people.
I mean, it's not like the vice president is a better option. Like, he's not.
I think in regards of this shit,
Maybe
he is a infinitely better option. He's J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is craven. He's not a sociopath.
Well, here's the thing. The only question, and then we got to move on. The only question I have for J.D. Vance is, would J.D. Vance want to please billionaires by making sure that they got all their resources out of Greenland? The answer is a sad yes. Yeah, he would. I mean, he's Peter Till's fucking blood boy. That's exactly what he would do. So I don't know that it ends with him, but I think people should get him on the record, though. Like I don't know.
I think
what do you think?
His
fuck off.
I think his instinct for self-preservation would probably win out. He is a young man after all, so.
Again, I'm not so sure someone's going to make it a year, but that's just me. And
especially if your predecessor got cooed by the military, I feel like that would probably put a damper on any.
Quiet the fuck down, bro.
on any wild behavior that you might do. So
hey, you were thinking about what? What were you thinking about? I was thinking we should increase what billionaires pay for Social Security. That's what I think. That's what I thought.
But again, like just suggesting that the United States would be subject to some military coup, like a banana republic, is an insane fucking thought to have. So,
and at the same time, not that surprising at this point.
Yeah,
it's not. I just named this First Week in Hell, which I think is pretty appropriate. So, look, if you're a Reddit person, if you're a Redditor, as they say, you should check out this subreddit. I think it's very, very good. It's called Keep_Track. These are just people who just meticulously track everything that's happening with the government week to week, and like they just have like a Patreon. Like, hey man, we just do a lot of work here. It's not opinion based. It's just listing shit out. And so I think this is a really good resource for what's happening this week.
I am part of this subreddit, actually. I lied. Yeah,
look at that. Good for you. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of these and we'll talk about them. Under immigration, quote, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. We're already seeing raids begin. What's already happening? U.S. military C-17 aircraft began flying detained migrants out of the country on Friday. Colombia refused to accept the deportations via military planes. We'll get there. Colombia refused to accept deportations via military planes, but the issue has reportedly been resolved. Sort of, kinda. The Pentagon announced 1,500 troops were being sent to the border last week. Clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. Relying on the United States Refugee Admissions Program. Suspends the arrival of refugees to the United States indefinitely and directs the Secretary of Homeland Security to give local jurisdictions, quote, greater involvement in the process of determining the placement or resettlement of refugees in their jurisdictions.
Literally a violation of international United States law, but who cares, right?
Get out of here.
Laws.
Listen to this. It's just yelling it over and over again. Let's see. What else does that do? It revokes an executive order issued by Biden that sought to improve the United States Refugee Admissions Program. The order also directed federal agencies to examine the effect of climate change on migration. Yeah, fuck that. What's already happening? The State Department suspended all refugees' arrivals last week, stranding thousands of people who had already been screened and cleared to enter the U.S. The DOJ directed federal prosecutors nationwide to investigate and potentially bring criminal charges against state and local officials who don't cooperate with Trump's immigration plans. So now we are not only battling, and we'll talk more about it, we're not only battling across the Americas, like the economic wars of the Americas, but we're also now battling the federal government versus the states. This is a good look. Very, very good look. Quote, protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. This is the whole idea that, the 14th Amendment bullshit, or attacking the 14th Amendment with their bullshit, which we talked about. Let's move on. Most of this is about immigration this week.
Yeah, Remain in Mexico is back. That fun chestnut.
Yeah. Designating cartels and other organizations as foreign terrorist organizations, specifically designated global terrorists. So, yeah, they are saying that the cartels in Mexico, very specifically, are terrorist organizations. This would give them sort of G.W. Bush-like 1% doctrine type of shit to go into Mexico to take these people on. I don't recommend that. Feels like a mistake. But we'll see how that goes. There are people, interestingly, here who are like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. You got to take down the cartels. And I'm like, yeah, look, I agree. The cartel's not good. Okay, my love. You guys are cool with me, man? But I understand, and obviously support the idea that cartels are bad. Even when I rented this office, they told me one of the things on my rental agreement was that I would not be doing any, quote, narco activities. That was funny. I'm like,
that's super cool that terminology is in your rental agreement.
Yeah, narco activities. Like, they're like, will you be doing that? I was like, will I be podcasting for the narcos? No, I will not be, unless they pay me. I will definitely. I'm not above selling out, but this idea, some people here are like, yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea, blah, blah, blah. The last thing you want is the United States moving into a sovereign country. You think they're going to leave? Is that what you think is going to happen? No, they're not going to leave. You think Trump, who's talking about expanding the empire, you think he's going to leave once he's been given authorization to come into Mexico? Or just does it? No, he won't. Now, if you're talking about another president who actually believes in the law and respects the law and maybe is trying to work with the Mexican government to take down the cartels, that's a different conversation. This, no, I do not recommend this at all. If you are under any belief that we would just go in, knock it out in a weekend, be greeted as liberators, and then walk our way back into Texas is fucking beyond.
It is always exciting watching this administration talk out of both sides of their mouth, being upset at migrants coming into the country, not respecting our sovereignty, and then also openly talking about just sending troops into a foreign country without approval.
Multiple countries, without authorization. Okay, executive branch bullshit. Defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government. Quote, declares that it is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female, directs federal agencies to apply these definitions when interpreting statutes, regulations, and guidance, rescinds Biden-era guidance that requires, quote, gender identity-based access to single-sex spaces, orders federal agencies to only issue identification documents, i.e. passports, that reflect the individual's sex at conception. More on that. By the way, hilarious. Somebody's not too good at science. Forbids the housing of transgender women with cisgender women in federal prisons and bans gender-affirming medical care in the Bureau of Prisons. Actually, this just says it bans transgender women being with cisgender women in prisons. It doesn't say federal prisons, but considering that they don't have jurisdiction over state prisons, I guess it would basically be up to the governors of those states and legislature to decide whether or not they're going to be pieces of shit along with Trump. Look, I know some people are going to be like, yeah, transgender women shouldn't be with cisgender women in prisons because of the rapes. Except that's not a thing that happens. Also, like, rapes happen in male and female prisons, like transgenders aside. Transgender folks said. But putting transgender women with men, with cisgender men, 100% will spike sexual assaults against those women. 100%. There is no question about it. That is going to happen. This is a terrible fucking idea, and you're only doing it because you're being a fucking piece of shit. That's it. You're just being
and also, like, I remember seeing on social media, like, after the election, People were shouting at anyone like, "Hey, like if you need to get a passport or need to get your passport re-upped,
I'm saying that shit for
better do
months.
it now." And because they've already frozen passports that are marked as non-binary, they're not issuing them anymore.
Yeah, and he also this order is shoe on head stupid because it says the passports will reflect the individual sex at conception. Here's the thing, guys. I don't know if people took basic elementary school science or remember, but everybody at conception is a female. Okay, that's just how science works. We're all girls, and then some of us, the better ones, become dudes, and that's just the way it works, right?
Well,
But
you heard some states are trying to even push the boundaries of fetal personhood further, saying that now, like conception life begins at erection, is what they're saying now. Basically, I'm afraid some states are going to be like outlawing busted nuts here soon.
Yeah, well, there's somebody put that up as a law, like banning masturbation. It's mostly just a law to be like to push the envelope of like, see how dumb this is. Like they're but look, it's funny and hilarious because they're trying to be ironic, and so people will go, well, that's fucking stupid. We agree, right? Like that's the point.
Yeah,
of it.
that's the point.
Right, but I can see some like hyper Christian politicians like, that does make sense. Like we gotta stop. I mean, the Bible does say don't let your fucking seed hit the ground, or don't spill your seed. That's what it says.
Exactly what it says.
Right? I mean, I may be paraphrasing the exact statement, but it's like don't drop your jizz on the ground. Like that's what Jesus said. Jesus said that. So like a direct quote. So he was like, take this fish and this bread, and also remember, kids, little boys. Like, okay, thanks, Jesus.
Don't bust on the floor.
Get yield sock. Like, hey, who is that guy? I don't know. Some dude's he's got a lot of wine with him. I don't know what the fuck that guy's problem is. Seems nice. So yeah, this idea of having it reflect individual sex at conception. Yet again, this is why you don't let these knuckleheads talk anything about gender or race or sex or anything, because they don't even know. They have no idea about basic science. They really don't.
And there's a lot of dumb shit on here. Like again, like we talked about, they want to they're getting rid of all the DEI programs, and they're also like bringing merit-based opportunity back to the government. So again, allegedly, a DEI has caused
for white
the cream from not rising to the top. Yeah, like it's literally just fucking give white people
white men
opportunities.
White men.
White men specifically.
Straight Christian white men.
Right. Fucking what else? Like even like fucking arbitrary shit. Like we're bringing people back to work. Except like the order was written in such a way, like return to work, in office work. Except the order was written in such a way that like people, like each individual department and supervisor can make those determinations on their own. So like it wasn't like a sweeping mandate. It was just like he just, as I heard on one of the podcasts listened to, like he just likes to sign his name to things. Like that's all he wants to do is just have his dumb signature.
He's got all those. He's got all those fucking Sharpies that he doesn't know what to do with them.
But there is a hiring freeze. As well.
That's hitting people pretty good, right in the pants, which I like. For those conservatives, orders no vacant positions to be filled or new positions created in the executive office until the director of office management and budget, in consultation with Doge, suck my dick, submits a plan to reduce the size of the federal government workforce. The armed forces and positions related to immigration enforcement, national security, or public safety are exempted from the hiring freeze. In contrast, the hiring freeze is maintained on IRS employees indefinitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else we got here? Again, like apparently he wants to end what they're calling federal censorship. Again, First Amendment fucking exists. What the fuck are they talking about? They want to invest a lot of money in AI, which we just talked about why that's probably a fucking terrible idea.
So yeah, the let's see, putting people over fish, stopping radical environmentalism to provide water to Southern California. Yeah, he's starting to talk about the faucet again. That fucking Canadian faucet.
Yeah, and also talked about, like, do we really need FEMA? Like, is that really important to have
buddy.
FEMA at all?
Look, if people were like,
do it. I would love to see what happens after that. Holy shit. See how all those states hanging out right there in the Gulf of America are going to handle hurricane season in about 9 months.
Yeah,
it's not going to go
well. We're fine. We don't need anything. Oh shit. Uh-oh. It's back? Yeah, it's back, motherfucker. Just in time for the primaries. Look, it's the FEMA talk is solely for the idea. It's not, oh, well, they're all under this auspices, or they're pushing this like bullshit of like, it's all under the auspices of like saving money, right? Because FEMA's so corrupt, right? Here's the thing. What they're trying to do is, like the California wildfires, they want to be able to say, federal government's not here for you, baby. Like, that's what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Oh, you got fires? It's not our problem. It's not our problem. Like, best of luck. That is disastrous, right? They're only thinking, because they're very fucking lopsided in their thought process, they're only thinking, well, cool, it'll hurt liberal states. Mm-hmm. But what about the conservative states, right? Now, what they could do is the federal government could say, well, North Carolina will give you money. Florida will give you money. California, go fuck yourself. Or here's a laundry list of things we want you to destroy in your state in order to get help. And all you're doing is setting up what I would like to call the destruction of America, because why are we a country then? Mm-hmm. If you're purposely helping one state and you're letting all the blue states get fucked, why?
Again, I don't know. As I mentioned before, I don't know why you'd want to play that game with California, because if you all of a sudden don't let California have federal emergency funds to deal with disaster relief, then California is going to start to think about, well, why are we contributing federal funds then if you're not going to share when we need that? And I don't think you want the largest contributor of federal money in the country to stop contributing that money. I feel like that would be a bad idea.
So there is a Calexid, right? This is going. It's sort of making its way through now. The California sort of legislature. Now, I think this is largely true. What I'm about to say, which is, there has been a push for this, and it's mostly like Russian-backed people are like, yeah, California should leave. Absolutely. Right? Because that would do massive damage to the United States, right? It would also help Republicans win all the time, because you would lose all of those fucking voters, right? Here's the thing, and I understand that argument, and I don't even disagree with it. I think you're right. That is where this comes from. However, I need people to stop thinking that things happen in a vacuum. Because if California leaves, it's not California leaves and we all just continue as 49 states. No, baby. California leaves. Oregon leaves. Washington leaves. People in the Northeast, who are these blue states, they go, what the fuck are we here for? We're out. Like, you start to just rip the country apart, because the second one is like, hey, that worked out and there wasn't a lot of bloodshed and everything else, all these other states are going to they're going to be like, let's make a fucking mega state of these like 5 states, and they're gone. And these other 5 states are gone. And it will just split the country apart. It just would.
Yeah, but not only that, but again, like we all know history, like just because a state says we want to leave, the United States has to say, okay, cool. Like, like there's a pretty high barrier for that, actually.
Right. So. I agree. So I'm just saying that, yes, there is a pretty high barrier for those kind of things. But at the same time, the thing that I'm noticing over the last number of days, it's only been a number of days, Trump's MO seems to be, from what I can tell, is he is softening the country up for slaughter. That's what it feels like to me. And like we're purposely doing things to hurt the military now, right? We are purposely doing things to damage the economy in ways that are unbelievable, right? So my question is, why are you doing this? Like, he's not doing any of these things where everyone is like, well, that thing could actually really help, right? Like, you can just make a lot of money. You're just ripping people off with your fucking meme coins. You're, figuring out ways to kind of pull out the most experienced and intelligent people out of the government. You're doing things that make the government work less efficient. Why? You're raising the prices on people for Medicare and Medicaid. Why? Your Secretary of Treasury nominee is talking about that billionaires basically shouldn't pay taxes. Why? Right? Like, that to me, you're doing all of these things that feel like you are just doing these long, deep-seated damage to the country so that when it is time for it to get destroyed, it's easy pickings. That's what it feels like to me. So I'm not saying that like that's definitively what's happening, but that's what it feels like to me. With every story that comes out, all of them don't seem like, oh, this guy just has a bad idea. Like, I can understand the logic of it. There's no logic to it. It's just from the perspective of what does the most damage and can I like rip a couple of dollars out of it at the same time?
I think you're giving him way too much credit. I think he just wants people to do what he says and get really rich in the process. That's really all he's fucking after. I don't think there's some deep-seated fucking plan because, again, it's not good for the billionaires for the country.
I don't think they
to
give
be
a
fractured if they want to continue to be rich, they need people to buy the products that make them their money.
Here's the thing. Okay, if you're Meta, right? You're Meta or you're Amazon. Motherfuckers going to buy books anyway. Motherfuckers are going to use your social media thing anyway. Whether they're in Calexia or whatever the fuck state or country that is, or whether or not it's the United States, they ultimately do not care. But
not if there's a fucking civil war going on. Not if people are, not we're in this brother against brother bullshit again.
I think that there is a high chance that they're not even giving a fuck that it'll get there. I don't think that they give a fuck. I think that Trump, and when I say Trump, I mean Trump and his fucking team, right? Because I think he's just like, fucking money, hell yeah. But those other guys, like these Project 2025 guys, I don't think that they give a fuck if the country gets destroyed as long as they get to control it on the way out. I don't think that they give a fuck. And I think maybe even fundamentally they think that it won't be, that it'll just go back to the 1950s and be great. Mm-hmm. But that's not how the modern era is going to work. You cannot destroy these people's lives and take things from them and make life a living hell and then just go out to work the next day. It doesn't work like that. In the 50s, you could continue doing that shit because people didn't know what it was like to have something better. People know what it's like to have something better. People are not going to just sit by and let the country get dragged back to 1950 and just go, all right, well, that's cool. Like, all right, bro, no big deal. I guess I'll just work in a fucking elevator and just, yeah, hey, Brad, I'll take you up to the 5th floor. Yes, sir. No fucking way, dude. That's just not going to happen. The idea of keeping people oppressed works really good in the present, but not if they've gotten those things, they've gotten past those things to drag them back. That never works. That causes physical conflict. I'm telling you, and I'm saying this on the show, I don't see how this guy makes it a year without getting a fucking shot at him. I just don't. I don't. I'm not saying I want it. I'm just telling you, I don't see that. I don't care if it happens, but I'm just saying.
I just want to point out that as a podcast team, we have decided the nomenclature for that because we don't want to get any visits from. Well, I don't want to get any visits from the FBI. You're fine where you are. Is again
activities.
Like, right. Is Jay thinks that Trump is going to get blue shelled before.
Blue shell the rich. Yeah, blue shell the rich all day, every day. Right. So no, but in all seriousness, I mean, blue shell the rich, absolutely. But no, I do. I mean, like, I'm not advocating for any of that. What I'm saying is you cannot hurt people over and over and over again, and people just go, yeah, that's fine, bro. Oh, did I have these freedoms and all of this shit, and my kids, were living this particular type of life, and the world looked a certain way? You cannot just drag the country to the 1950s. You can't. Every time, this is why Republicans get so fucking pissed at progress, because every time there's a little bit, that's a little bit they can't drag back. Mm-hmm. They don't want, look, spoiler alert. All right, let me give you some fucking inside baseball here. The reason they don't want universal health care, it's not because it's expensive and all this other shit. they know that once you motherfuckers get a taste of that shit,
you
can
can't
never
put
pull
the
it back.
toothpaste back in the tube.
You can't.
As they say.
You can't. All of his work right now is trying to shove the toothpaste back into the tube. But eventually, there's going to come a time where people are going to be like, wait, what the fuck? Because look, we're paying attention to this. This hasn't hit mainstream America yet, right? It hasn't. Even the raids haven't hit mainstream America yet, but they will. And when they do, and you start going, hey, what happened to fucking Susan who lived next door? Oh shit, Susan's husband got fucking picked up by ICE? Like, what the fuck? Once that shit starts to permeate the normal American psyche, that's when people are going to go, wait a minute. Now, I'm not saying people getting in the streets, fist fighting, fucking police and all that shit. I'm not saying that. But you're going to have a really fucking hard time dragging the country back like that. People are not going to just sit by and do that. They're just not going to. Now, what that looks like, I don't fucking know. I really don't. And I don't pretend to know after that fucking election. At this point, I really don't know. And I'm not making any guesses as to what it looks like. But what I can tell you is the reason, and again, and I use that healthcare analogy for a reason. If you're trying to oppress and hold people down, the last thing you want is them to get an ounce of fucking freedom or an ounce of progress. Because every ounce of progress they get, it's harder to convince them that they don't want that shit. You think China keeps all their shit, the websites and all that shit locked down just for fun? No. If the Chinese population got a full connection to the internet, they'd be like, not going back to this fucking restricted bullshit? Hell no. That's why they do it. That's why they spend so many billions of dollars with the great firewall. They have to, because if that shit breaks down, they're in a world of trouble. There's a reason you can't fucking Google about Tiananmen Square and shit like that. If they let people have unabridged knowledge of this shit, it is a damage to them. And it's the same with what's going on here. So you have to, what your job is as a fucking citizen of the country is to pay attention and understand where you are and do not allow these guys to drag the shit back. But I just don't, again, I'm not saying people are going to, like, I'm not one of these accelerationist fucking horseshit. People are going to get in the streets and fight back. No, it won't be like that. But when people start to realize that the shit that they had is gone, people are going to start to have a fucking problem with it. They are.
Yeah.
They will. So good. They should have a problem with it. They should be fucking pissed.
And by the way, like, considering that the billionaires are seeing fit to get in bed with this guy so closely, don't think that they're immune as well. And I'm not just talking about from a blue shell standpoint either. Like, people start to figure out that this is all in the advance of like capital and just keeping the rich where they are. There are lots of ways to disrupt productivity in the workplace. And I'm not just talking about like strikes and shit like that either. No. Like I said, people can grind progress to a halt on the low levels very easily.
Very easily. Yeah. I mean, one could make an argument that if you just, I don't know, seize the means of production, let's say, you could do what you wanted. I've become very, very, very liberal in my old age. Just like.
So Trump over the weekend decided to do his own version of like the Saturday Night Massacre and fired 18 inspectors general across the federal government. Now, for those that don't know what inspector generals do, they're basically like the watchdogs inside of federal departments that make sure that those departments are not engaging in waste, fraud, and abuse, which is, the thing that Doge purports to want to take down. But these are like the actual lawyers who do the actual work. And many of the people he fired were people that Trump himself appointed into these positions during his first term in office, which is also very funny. Now,
get out.
That is the fact that he fired them is not so far out of bounds, right? Presidents have done this before. Reagan he did. Like when he got into office, he cleaned house in the same way. He got a lot of wrath of shit for it. And in fact, because of what Reagan did, they basically like strengthened the law around IG hires. And so Congress has a law in place that says if you're going to fire an inspector general, you have to give Congress 30 days notice, and there has to be substantive rationale with specific reasons for the firing. Now, obviously, Trump didn't provide 30 days notice, and he didn't give any fucking reason. He just said, we're going to fucking do it. And the problem is all of the Republicans in Congress went on the Sunday shows and were just like, yeah, we have no problem with this. Lindsey Graham was probably the one who was the furthest towing the line on this. Basically said, technically he broke the law. No, there's no technically he broke the law. He either followed the law or he didn't follow the law. And in this case, he didn't follow the law. Now, the problem is, what do you fucking do about it? I don't fucking know, but it seems to me like you should try to do something about it. But considering that people in Congress are going along with it, no problem, what are you gonna do? So again, laws, they're just guardrails, but if you want to drive your car off the side of the road,
you're welcome.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
I mean, look, I'm sure people would say, Democrats need to do something. Okay, what would you like them to do? They don't run any committees. They can't. You can't call hearings. You can't.
I wonder if you could file suit against him for this. Like if Democrats in Congress could lead a lawsuit against. I mean, I don't know. Like I literally do not know the response. Yeah.
There is talk now. I saw a quick blurb that like they're already ramming up like impeachment talk. It's been a week. Like it's so fucking insane. I mean, it will go nowhere.
Do it every fucking week.
That's my attitude every time. The problem is it does. If you do that, then it becomes kind of like the boy who cried wolf type of shit. Oh, Democrats.
Yeah, but it's already happened. Remember, I don't know if you remember this. Republicans impeached Joe Biden.
Well, they didn't.
No, they did. They did. The Senate refused to take it up. They basically just kind of.
I thought the House didn't even. No, I thought the House just scuttled it. They didn't even. No, it didn't even pass a vote. No, it didn't. No.
Are you sure?
They just scuttled that shit. Okay. In the end, no, he didn't get impeached. No, absolutely not.
I thought that he did.
Yeah, no. There were House members who were like, "There's nothing here," and then they just scuttled the shit. The Senate definitely was not going to go on with it. But no, if the House, he would have been officially impeached if the House had come together on it. They never brought it up for an actual impeachment vote. Yeah, which is fucking. I
could have sworn they did.
Nope. Joe Biden.
Okay.
Joe Biden got the guy who's super guilty of all these crimes. They couldn't even get an impeachment together. Why? Because he didn't do anything.
You're right. You are correct. They couldn't get there, especially because the Senate was like, fuck off. So
yeah. So yeah, good luck with all that.
So that's exciting. Another thing that happened.
By the way, that's a very much of a night of the long knives sort of situation.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. Another cool thing that happened. Now, apparently, the federal government is talking about pausing like all federal grants, which is insane. But one that they have certainly hit the pause button on is basically they temporarily paused for 90 days all foreign aid, including to Ukraine, including to other like impoverished countries that were helping out. There are two exceptions, however. One of them is Israel for obvious reasons. The other one is Egypt. And you might be saying, wow, that seems pretty fucking random. Now, Egypt is our largest partner in the Middle East aside from Israel. Egypt also, if you guys remember several months ago, we talked about this on the show, was discovered to have paid Donald Trump about $10 million in bribes back when he first took office in 2017. I don't see enough people in the media talking about that aspect of this in the wake of the story, which is just a fucking shame.
Yeah, the mainstream media for the most part is completely fucking useless.
We'll talk about that when we get to Colombia. So
yep, absolutely fucking useless.
So keep an eye on that. But yeah, I can't imagine Ukraine's feeling great about the pausing of foreign aid coming over while they're still trying to fight this conflict with Russia.
Yeah, so. I mean, it should be fine, Brad. Right? Like, what's the worst that could happen? Yeah. Next up, let's see. your boy. I'm going to read the title that you came up with because it's wonderful. Meetings with the Joint Chiefs of Staff are now a 2-drink minimum. Pete Hegseth has been confirmed in another painful reminder for the American women and the rest of the fucking world. So he is now the Secretary of Defense, which is probably a bad idea.
Yeah. Shockingly, there were 3 Republican votes against confirming him, which means that J.D. Vance had to cast a tie-breaking vote to get him through. The 3 people, 2 of whom you might expect, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins. Yeah. The third one, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, the last
voting no on Pete Hegseth.
He's like, no, fuck you, with like his black dying hand. I saw one of the most irritating fucking posts of all time, where someone was like, I can't believe Pete Hegseth was his nomination got through. Democrats are useless. And I looked, I was like, how many Democrats voted for Pete Hegseth? None? Why are you blaming them?
Not even new mansion John Fetterman voted for Pete Hegseth.
Yeah. And like, why are you mad at the Democrats? Well, they didn't do enough to stop him. What would you like them to do? This is a numbers game, baby. Like, there's nothing for them to do.
Some people are always just going to be fucking stupid.
And this is why we cannot progress, because you're literally blaming the people who the U.S. citizenry gave less power on purpose to not stop this. What are you mad about? Be mad at the party who put this piece of shit up to be Secretary of Defense. It's not like half the Democrats voted for him or something like that.
They were expecting Chuck Schumer to like dive in front of the fucking gavel like he was a bodyguard trying to prevent a gunshot from
he gets fucking gavelled in his old head. Oh, sacrifice as his last dying breath. Resist.
Maybe we should bring caning back to the Senate floor. Chuck Schumer could just like start beating the shit out of Tom Tillis. Yeah.
I like that.
Or John Thune. Sorry, I don't know why Tom Tillis came to mind, but yeah, John Thune is the actual.
Tom Tillis is like, what did I do? I mean, a lot. He did a lot of terrible things, but like,
yeah,
you're gonna get it.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit too. So
yeah, but Thune, you're up next. Even though you look like the villain in that one movie Cobra, it's very weird. I just see John Thune clanking the 2 axes together. You see it. Yeah, you see it. I'm not wrong. He looks like that guy, dude. I'm not wrong.
Oh my god,
he absolutely looks like that. Never seen Cobra? Do yourself a favor. It's awesome. So yeah, so look, Pete Hegseth getting in, completely unsurprising, honestly. Look, Mitch McConnell voting against him is actually
it is kind of surprising, to be quite honest. Again, this was supposed to be the guy that was like the bottom of the barrel that you just sent out to be the sacrificial lamb. That's what he fucking should have been.
Nope.
It's absolutely batshit crazy that again, like Congress has like the Senate especially has abdicated their fucking duty. Again, I remember as recently as the Obama presidency when Congress used to actually take their fucking role seriously as the legislative body to push back against the executive branch.
And I truly don't get it. I don't get it. Like, from a perspective of just
because they're afraid of him. They're afraid of him. That's all it is.
I don't know why.
The Republican Party has completely acquiesced to his whims, and I mean that happened back in 2020. Again, remember the National Republican Platform.
Yeah,
whatever he wants to
whatever do. Trump's policies or whatever his. Yeah, it's like, so you guys don't have a platform? Nah.
Yeah.
Who needs one? We got
this guy. He's smart. We'll just listen to him.
Daddy's home, and he took his belt off. So we're like, okay.
Man, that should continue on this week.
Ugh.
Mel Gibson went on Fox and was like, "Oh, like Daddy's back," or whatever. I can't do his accent, but fuck that guy.
Well, he doesn't have an accent. He just yells racial epithets. That's what Mel Gibson sounds like. And by the way, if you were like, "Oh man, I hope Mel Gibson like gets another chance. Yeah, this week I was like, nah, I'm good. You know what? It's fine. We don't need any more.
Fuck him. No more chances for him. I can still watch the Lethal Weapon movies guilt-free, and that's all I really need. So we're good.
Yeah, like just please stop talking about anything else. Brad, feel free to take a victory lap here because I
will. As I wrote in the docket, dude, we told you absolute moronic fucks.
I like it. Go for it.
I'm trying real hard not to really give credence to things that Trump says, but I feel like in this case,
no, this is rude.
It is fair. Essentially, Donald Trump is like he was talking to Hannity. Quote: "They all said inflation was the number one issue. I said, I disagree. I talked about inflation too, but how many times can you say that an apple has doubled in cost?" Basically, he doesn't really fucking give a shit. And to the point, when during that interview with Hannity, like Hannity did the Hannity thing where Hannity's like, "Holy shit, this guy's going off the fucking rails. I gotta try and get him back on the tracks." And he literally said to Trump, he's like, "I want to get to the economy." And Trump's like, because Trump was like railing on about like Joe Biden doing all the pardons for his family, but he didn't pardon himself. And like, we might need to look at, Joe Biden now that he's out of the office and all this other shit. And Hannity's like, "Oh my God, like, all right, look, I want to talk about the economy." And Trump's literal response was, "I don't care. I want to talk about this Joe Biden fucking pardon stuff."
Yeah. Cool story, bro. Like,
yeah.
So, how are those eggs prices? Is it going down?
Going through the roof.
Yeah.
Thanks to the bird flu.
Yeah, up 37%. I saw. Egg costs predicted to rise in 2025, despite Vance saying, "quote prices are going to come down." Really? No, they're not.
Yeah, eventually, because Margaret Brennan challenged him on Face the Nation, and is like, "Yeah, like all these executive orders, nothing to combat high prices for Americans." And he's like, "Oh, well, we just got here. Like we're doing lots of stuff right now." And she's like, "Yeah, but like this was the thing that you guys like campaigned the hardest on. You said you were going to bring prices down." And he's like, "Well, it's eventually, like over time, things look."
And Republican voters will be like, "Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's totally reasonable that a carton of eggs is like $97. Yeah, no, it's cool." Cool. Real Americans are willing to pay for inflation. Inflation is actually patriotic. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know how at a certain point people go, "No, it's not a cult." Yeah, bro, it's a cult. Like they will literally suck. Well,
and the thing is, the thing is that they knew, like the diehards fucking knew. Like there's another. It's not on the docket because it wasn't worth bringing up. But like, I don't know who Megyn Kelly was talking to on her dumb fucking podcast, but like she was talking to somebody, who was like part of the Project 2025 shit, and he's basically like, "Yeah, like we pulled the wool over the Democrats' eyes, and like we said, oh, like we're not doing Project 2025, and that's exactly what we're doing, and we always were." And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, "Now you didn't pull the wool over our eyes, like we fucking knew.
We're like, the ones who said you were doing."
Yeah, you fooled your voters is who you fooled. Like you didn't play us for suckers, like you played them for suckers.
Yeah. And then they sit right across and go, "Yeah, we got him, baby." Wait, hold on. I didn't read any of this. Oh, no. Like,
This is all terrible. I don't like any of this. Well, I guess you should have listened to us then when we were telling you that this was the plan.
Yep.
But hey.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we got you. No, you didn't. We're the ones who told you that this is what you're going to do. You lied to them.
Yeah, we been knew that this is what you guys were going to do. You didn't fool any of us. Again, you fooled the people who voted for you. So
amazing.
Congrats.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.